With the big Season 6 premiere this Sunday, I thought it'd be appropriate for me for the next 5 days to review the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones. For those who do not know, Game of Thrones is currently my favorite TV show on television today. I'm pretty much obsessed with the show. I'm really pretty much addicted to it. I love Game of Thrones. I can't get enough of it. It's just absolutely amazing. I absolutely love the show. And, like I said, leading up to the Season 6 premiere, I thought I'd review every single season before the Season 6 premiere, so that's what I'm going to do for the next 5 days. So it's pretty much Game of Thrones a week on my channel right now. Depending when you're watching it, I could be watching it 3 months from now, so I don't really know. But, yeah, just the way to celebrate Game of Thrones on Sunday. And in this video, if you have not seen Game of Thrones and you're watching this, looking for a recommendation, just watch it. There will be spoilers in this review as well as the other ones to come. So just a little forewarning about that in case anyone's watching this that hasn't seen the show and wants a spoiler-free review. You're not gonna get that here, unfortunately, so I apologize for that. But for those of you who have seen the show and are watching this review, if you guys would like, please leave your thoughts in the comments below of each season. Like for this video, this is season 1, so go ahead and leave your thoughts on season 1 if you'd like. Anything about the show if you want. Honestly, you can just leave whatever you like. But yeah, nothing rambling on. Let's jump into Game of Thrones Season 1. Of course, as you guys can see, this is a Season 1 Blu-ray. The DVD casings are pretty much the exact same. It's just a little bit bigger. I want to say maybe like an inch bigger within the box, like, height-wise. But this is Game of Thrones Season 1 on Blu-ray. Here's the cover here. You have Game of Thrones right there. You have a nice feel of like the sigils of each family. Nice feel in it. You got Eddard, Ned, whatever you want to call him, Stark, on the Iron Throne right there, the complete first season. Here's the spine right there, Game of Thrones, complete first season, once again. Same on the other side, nothing on the back. It's a nice slipcover, so here's the hard copy of it, or the the casing of it. Once again, same as the front cover of it. There's a spine right there, and there is the Iron Throne on the back right there. And then you take it out, and here is the artwork, very nice artwork here. You have Ned Stark once again right there, holding his sword, very nice. You have Tyrion Lannister right there, looking good. And once again, there is a spine. You open it up, you have Cersei Baratheon, or Lannister, or whatever you want to call her. You have King Robert Baratheon right there. You open it up some more, you have Daenerys Targaryen right there. You got Jon Snow, the bastard of Ned Stark, right there. And you open it up, and there's all the disc, as well as the insert. Disc 1 right there, the episodes right there. Disc 2, Disc 3, Disc 4, and Disc 5. And then in the insert, of course, you have the episode guide. Each episode right there, if you want to pause and read the episodes, go ahead. There's a nice viewing, so there's a nice pause right there and read the episode titles. And you open it up, you have the tree of each family. So you have the House Stark right there and everyone in House Stark as well as their household. You have House Baratheon as well as the royal court that serves them, considering King Robert is a Baratheon. House Lannister as well as House Arryn. And you have House Targaryen as well as their household allies. So that is what the DVD or the Blu-ray, well, the DVD is the exact same in terms of artwork and everything, of Game of Thrones. Very nice Blu-ray set. Let's put this all together right there. But yeah, Season 1 of Game of Thrones, it starts off, one thing about the show is, if you haven't seen it, when you start watching it, you'd think you started the show watching midway through the series, because it just jumps right in with a lot of backstory and a lot of history when the show starts. So it's a lot of confusion at first when you first watch it. But of course, when you start watching the show, you're introduced to the Starks of Winterfell. Ned Stark, Catelyn Stark, Robb Stark, Sansa Stark, Arya Stark, Rickon Stark, and Bran Stark, as well as Jon Snow's Ned Stark's bastard son. So we get introduced to all the Starks. They're preparing for the arrival of King Baratheon and his family, who was House Baratheon, Cersei Lannister, and his son Joffrey, Marcella, and Tommen. So he's arriving with his family, pretty much to offer Ned Stark his to be his hand of his king, the hand of his hand, because his original hand, Jon Arryn, was killed, and that's why he's arriving in Winterfell to pretty much invite him to be his hand of the king. And as well as, you introduce Daenerys Targaryen as well as her brother. She has been bewedded, or being bewedded to Khal Drogo, who pretty much is the king of the Dothraki, because her brother Viserys, I think his name is. I always screw up his name. Viserys, I think it is. He wants to be king pretty much, and he knows the best way to get him to the Iron Throne is have the Dothraki army behind him, to help him claim the throne. So he's pretty much whoring Daenerys for him to become king in the long run. And of course, after episode 1, you have a big cliffhanger with, they had the dinner and everything. Of course, at the end, Bran end up catching Cersei and Jaime Lannister, who are brother and sister, having sex. Jaime Lannister pushes him off the pretty much the tower and pretty much crippling him. So that was a big cliffhanger of episode 1. And then throughout the series, you have Jon Snow, who was, like I said, the bastard. He wants to join the Night's Watch because he feels like he'd be more, of service there, considering, he's pretty much looked down upon in the Stark household his whole life. And then, the drift between the Starks and Lannister begins right there because of, the accusations Catelyn Stark's having against Tyrion Lannister, who is the dwarf. She's claiming that she's the one that pushed Bran Stark out of the window. So the drift is, starting right there between the Lannisters as well as the Starks. And then, of course, the Starks find out that there's a huge conspiracy theory behind Jon Arryn's death. The whole thing that Lysa Arryn, who was Catelyn Stark's sister, claims that the Lannisters pretty much killed him. So there's a huge conspiracy there, and the Starks are finding out, and it's just a huge drift between the Lannisters and Starks start right there. And then eventually Ned Stark becomes Hand of the King. He joins a small council. It pretty much takes over whenever King Robert isn't there. Daenerys Targaryen gets pregnant with Khal Drogo's son, so that's progressing. At first she didn't like Khal Drogo, but eventually she fell in love with him, so they end up, becoming very close. Ned Stark discovers the secret of the Lannisters, pretty much the bloodline within King Robert Baratheon is his sons. He's realizing that Tommen, Marcella, and Joffrey, who's next heir of the throne, aren't King Robert Baratheon's children. They're actually Jaime Lannister's children, so Ned Stark finds out about that. They have a tournament honoring Ned Stark's becoming a King of the Hand. Then you have Jon Snow, of course, make a friend with Samuel Tarly at Castle Black. Catelyn arrests Tyrion because, like I said, she thought he's the one that pushed Bran out the window. So Tyrion's arrested. You have the betrayal of Ned Stark at first by Jaime. Well, not the betrayal, but he has a little fight with Jaime Lannister, which injures his leg, so he's out of commission for a little bit. Ned Stark pretty much is a guard of the Iron Throne when King Robert Baratheon's out, like I said earlier, so he's pretty much on the throne. Viserys ends up dying, Daenerys' brother, because Khal Drogo ends up pretty much getting tired of his shit, so he ends up pouring gold on his head and pretty much gives him the crown he always wanted. So Viserys goes by. Pretty much Ned Stark confronts Cersei about the, pretty much the bastardy of her children, not being King Robert Baratheon's children, being Jaime Lannister's children. Pretty much threatens her and tells her to run because eventually he's going to tell King Robert and, she's pretty much screwed. Jon Snow takes his Night Watch vows, but before Ned Stark is able to tell King Robert about his children, or his quote-unquote children, he actually is hurt in a hunting accident by a pig and is pretty much dying. So Ned Stark pretty much has no way to tell him, or he can't really tell him because he's never in the room alone with him. But by the time he does get the alone time, King Robert Baratheon is writing his will and his final words and his final request, so Ned doesn't really get the opportunity to do so. But Ned kind of just scribbles in on his will and pretty much changes it as he's talking. So he's trying to, the whole thing was King Robert wanted Ned Stark to pretty much be the head of the throne until Joffrey became of age and ready to take the throne. So he's pretty much naming Ned the new king for the time being. But Peter Baelish betrays Ned Stark. He aligns himself with the Lannisters, who Peter Baelish is a good friend of at least Catelyn Stark. So he pretty much told Ned to trust him, or not to trust him, but Ned trusts him, and he ends up betraying Ned to align himself with the Lannisters. So Ned Stark is arrested for conspiracy. He's actually accused of being a conspiracy of killing King Robert Baratheon. So he's arrested for that. The Starks try to plead for Ned's mercy, trying to get him free throughout the end of the season, which leads to Robb Stark capturing Jaime Lannister. He captured Jaime Lannister in hopes of pretty much trading for his father and his sisters, who his sisters are at King's Landing as well with Ned Stark. Khal Drogo ends up dying. He ends up being poisoned pretty much by a witch, or he's dying, and Daenerys finds a witch to try and help him, but she actually doesn't end up helping him. She actually ends up killing Khal Drogo. Daenerys is just a broken mess at that point. And then, of course, the big shocker, of course, towards the end of the season, episode 9, was the execution and death of Ned Stark. Of course, the main character being killed at the end of the episode 9. A huge shocker. No one saw it coming. Ned Stark, pretty much pled guilty. You know, he admitted to his treasoning behind murdering King Robert Baratheon. Sorry, even though he was lying, he was just pleading guilty just to save himself. But Joffrey, being the piece of shit that he is, ends up killing Ned Stark instead. He ends up executing him to show that, hey, my mother might want mercy, but I don't take this kind of stuff. Executes Ned Stark, which ends up leading to the War of Five Kings, episode 10. Pretty much episode 10 sets up the rest of the series with, Robb Stark preparing for battle with the Lannisters due to the death of his father. Pretty much, just a lot of things going down and just preparing for the rest of the season. So that's season 1 of Game of Thrones. Like I said, I know I just said pretty much the entire season. I pretty much summarized it, but like this season, once you watch it, if you watch episode 1, you will be kind of bored. It is a boring episode, but the big cliffhanger, like I said earlier, is what continued me to watching it. And this entire season sets up the entire series. So that's a big thing. It's a big thing. It's a big reason to watch it. There are sore points, and it's kind of like, when things going to start happening. But it happens towards the end of the season, and, like I said, it sets up the entire series. So that's a great thing about season 1. And I really enjoy it. And the best thing about this show, in my opinion, is that even though, the stuff that happened in this season, to the most current season, is, the events happening here still gets talked about. So the events that happen are big and important. They're not, little things I just get forgotten about. They're important. They stay with the show. And that's one of the best parts about the show, in my opinion, that they keep going back because it's a big monumental moment. It needs to be, it's a big deal. So, yeah, that's season 1 of Game of Thrones. If you guys enjoyed the video, like I said, Game of Thrones season 1 is a great season. It's a lot of confusion at first. Honestly, if I watched the series twice, the first viewing, I got it. But, like, if you watch it again, with the knowledge after watching the series the first time, you will honestly understand this show a lot better and enjoy it a lot more. Because, like I said, there is a lot of information, so you're going to be confused a lot. One of my best advice I can give you is after each episode you watch, I would go on its Wikipedia page and read the summary of it as well, because that helps a lot, because you obtain the information, and you might read a few things you might have missed when you watched it the first time around. So that's my recommendation. Yeah, that's my review for season 1 of Game of Thrones. Like I said, it's Game of Thrones week leading up to season 6 on Sunday, so the next few days we'll be getting the reviews of season 2, 3, 4, and 5, and of course on Sunday I will be doing an episode review of season 6, episode 1 as well. So that's it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the video once again, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys for watching the video.